What's up, man? Listen, I talked to five teachers today. If you work with students, if you work with people, it is imperative you learn how to invest. But more importantly, to take it a step further, it's important that you learn how to trade and learn to do options within the stock market. The moral compass of today's people, young people, you guys are going to have to endure in your classroom settings or just in general if you're working with with people in general. You want to have this skill where you don't have to interact with anybody and you can make as much money as you want to. If you are a teacher or somebody that work with people, let me know challenges you have. Let me know if you can relate and that the disrespect is at an all-time high. Check this out.
I'm a high school teacher. It is 4 weeks into the school year with students, and I am at my limit already. I am at my limit with being talked to and demanded at so disrespectfully, interrupted constantly, repeating myself countless times. This year feels worse. This year feels worse than the last 5 years I've taught. I don't know if anyone else feels that way, but I feel like I've seen so many teachers make videos where we are all ringing the alarm saying, this is bad. This year is not good. It's not good. We are struggling, and not a lot of us are going to last if this continues, because I think there's a reckoning of teachers realizing like, I actually don't deserve to be treated like and then every day wipe that slate clean and start on over as if it didn't happen. I teach high schoolers. I see it from videos of elementary school teachers and middle school teachers. I don't know when, as a society, we're going to wake up and say, our system is failing. Our students don't have basic respect or human decency. Teachers are done.
I had a student that told me, what you gonna do about it? Really? So I was ignoring them because we were out at tennis and he was banging his racket. And so I told him he had to sit down. He lost 5 minutes of tennis. And he was like, I don't care. I don't have to listen to you. I'm not gonna do it. What you gonna do about it? So then he was in my space. So I said, I need you to back up. What you gonna do? What am I gonna do? What are you gonna do? I don't know how to handle it. They say ignore negative behavior, so I was ignoring negative behavior, but he wanted a reaction. But now my anxiety is a little high and my nerves are a little fried, but he wanted a reaction. I was trying not to give him one.
Well, guys, I made it a week, and I asked to put my resignation in. I've been dealing with so many health problems due to stress, at least the last 2 years, and I was hoping that being at a new school would change that. And day 3, I was in urgent care because I thought, doesn't matter what I thought, but it all came down to chronic stress. And I walked in the next day and said, I cannot do this anymore. And, you know, one of the questions people ask me is, why are teachers quitting so much? I'm going to tell you my experience. And this might not be everybody's experience, but for me, I am in fight or flight mode all day long. And I really don't know what would change it. I guess just the caseload. It's so much pressure in so many different areas. It's hard to explain to people that aren't in it. Like, it's not the kids, at least at my school. For some, it's different. At this school, it's not the kids, it's not the parents. It's the workload. I narrowed it down to 2 choices. I said, okay, number 1, I either need to make peace with working 50 to 60 hours, and I need to go get some antidepressants. Option number 2 is make peace with quitting and trying something new. And that's what I decided. And it just sucks because obviously I went to school for this. Like, this was my dream. So not only am I mourning this job, I'm mourning my dream. Like, I thought this was going to be it for me. I love being a teacher. My health is just, my body is saying no more. One of my friends told me, because I keep asking my friends for advice, people who've been in this career for so long, and I asked her, and she said to me, I'm not going to tell you to quit, but your body certainly is. And Colleen, that comment changed my life, and I just gotta listen. Unfortunately, I wish so bad it was different. I listened to this motivational speaker. Her name is Abraham Hicks, and she gave a devotional once, and she said so many of us are just chewing glass, just chewing and chewing and chewing, and praying to God that our tongues toughen up to this glass, right? Please just let me acclimate to the glass. And she's like, why don't you just spit out the glass? I don't know. It's just hard. It's scary. It's hard. I have no idea. I have no idea what I'm going to do. I just know that, I can't end up in the hospital. So it sucks. It sucks really bad.
I have to speak to, as a teacher of 24 years, this being my last year, I'm retiring. I'm done. And I'm done because of one word: parents. And I am going to speak for teachers who can't speak because they're still in the profession. Education has changed so much that it is unbearable, and that's why there's a teacher shortage. I have seen education change in 24 years, and it hasn't changed for the better. And a lot of it has to do with parenting or lack thereof. Parents, when you send your child to school, they need pens, they need pencils. If they don't have them, please ask me or ask the school. Parents, when you send your children to school, yes, they do need their books. Yes, they do need a notebook. If they do not have any of those things, please ask your teacher or please ask the school. Bottom line is this: teachers are not just teachers. The amount of time that I spend teaching is, let's see, if I'm lucky, maybe 20 minutes within a class period. There's so much other stuff going on every minute, every second of the class period. It starts off as soon as the kids come in the room. There's always self-regulation that I have to do. There's always redirection that I have to do. There's always repeating the same information, even though it's written on the overhead, even though it's clearly spelled as clear as it can be in the written language. Step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. And even after I ask for clarifying questions, which I don't get any, there are kids who are constantly coming in late, which disrupts the classroom. The phone is ringing because a child needs to go to see the counselor because they are dealing with whatever issues. I get that, and I understand it happens. There are interruptions because a child is leaving because the parents are taking the child out of school to go somewhere. There are interruptions in the day because I have to fill out an independent contract for a child who's going away for a month to Italy or to India. So that means I have to make special lesson plans for that child, which they don't do, by the way. There are interruptions when you have the counselors coming into the classroom and asking to take out a certain student. There are interruptions in the classroom because there are so many students with special needs, and again, I am not faulting them for that. All I'm telling you is that a lot of extra energy goes into students who have special needs, and I'm the only person in the room. There isn't a teacher's aide. There isn't another special ed person in here with me. And I have 33 to 34 students. The interruptions are insurmountable. So trying to teach is virtually impossible. We as teachers have become babysitters, and all we do is we're putting out fires every 2 to 3 minutes, and that's not an over-exaggeration. That is the truth. So, that and many other reasons, I'm retiring after 24 years. I have had it. I can no longer deal with the new type of parent and the new type of child that is a product of the parent that I am trying to teach. Many of these kids do not care. And they don't care because their parents don't care. And if their parents care, then I guess I would see kids that care, but I don't. So teaching has become a dying profession. I, for one, have 24 years of experience, and I am leaving. I plan to stay for another, 10 years. Not doing it anymore. Nope. So another experienced teacher bites the dust.
I'm a former teacher, and here's the real reason why teachers are quitting and or not mentally well. I'm sure you're thinking parents and admin, and some even say the kids. And those are all part of it. But that's not the root. This is the root. The root is that teachers don't have control anymore. One of the big differences between a good teacher and a bad teacher is a good teacher has control of their classroom. Bad teacher, it's crazy, chaos. A good teacher feels like they have control, feels like they have everything going on, feels like everything's going well. But because of the current dynamics, there's a lot of teachers out there, great teachers who have been doing it for years, who now since COVID has slowly had their control stripped away by admin not allowing them to have free reign in their classroom, and parents that are no longer supportive and in most cases are combative to anything that they want to do. So the way I view it is teachers are in a straitjacket. Like imagine a teacher in a classroom with a straitjacket on. It's like, can somebody get me that? Get me that? No, not that. And when you feel that constant lack of control, the stress is outrageous. So these great, amazing teachers who literally have their hands tied behind their back are realizing that I don't have that control anymore like I used to. So these teachers are stressed out of their mind. But then comes step one. The only way to mentally do well in those situations is to lower expectations and accept it is what it is. And for real life, this is amazing advice. Letting go of things you don't control, just letting things be the way that they are. But in the teaching setting, that means that Johnny is not going to improve like the Johnnies of the past did. It means that you know that they're not going to get the education and are not getting the education that you know that they should be getting, because there's too many other deterrents and distractions and things like admin holding you back and parents that complain that it becomes impossible. So now what does that result? The teacher standing in the front of the class with the straitjacket on and just being like, okay, they're moving around. All right, I'm just going to do my best with Susie right here, right now, and the rest of like it is what it is. And then just doing that every single day. You wonder why teachers are looking forward to the next break and can't wait until summer. It's because they get a chance to just go, and not have that, oh my God. And then once a teacher gets to a certain level where they recognize I'm lowering my expectations of my classroom, this is not okay. So I gotta leave. And all you hear is the deterrence like, oh, you're weak and you can't handle it anymore. Oh, you should leave. While internally you're like, how can I do this? How can I give up on them? How can I admit that this is just not working anymore? And ultimately, how can I choose myself and saying I need to step away and leave those kids and just, hey, it's not good, but I can't do it. That's why if you hear a lot of former teachers, they'll say that the stress is so much less because it's not feeling that complete and utter lack of control. So the lesson here is twofold. Number one is it is a great thing to lower expectations in your daily life to limit stress. That means if you're a little bit late, you'll get there when you get there. There's no reason. It is what it is. It's okay. Oh, you ran out of time. You didn't get the groceries today. It's okay. We'll do it tomorrow. But the second part is, in education, what does that look like? That looks like the expectations of students before to now is down here. And how is it ever going to go back up? Give the teachers control back. And this is a really hard thing, because I do think that parents should be involved in their education, but I think there's too many parents who are not good at that. And that's causing this issue that it makes it really impossible to find this balance between giving the teachers control and the parents not having the control over their own kids' education. But until this thing changes, until that changes, everything is just going to continue to get worse. Your veteran teachers are going to continue to quit and leave. And the new teachers that come in are just going to have lower expectations. And what is that going to look like in the future of America?
People that work in public schools are leaving the profession, and I'm no different. I walked out of my job and quit after 10 years working in a public high school, and I don't regret it at all. Unless you've worked in education yourself, you really can't relate. People in other positions want to say or compare that their job is just as hard. But to be honest, unless you've actually done it and you've walked the walk and you've been in our shoes, you don't know. It's not the pay. People go into this profession knowing that the pay isn't going to be great, and they go in because they love the kids and because they sometimes want the schedule. They want to be moms, they want to be dads, they want to have a schedule that can accommodate them being parents. And that's why I went to the profession, but it's also exactly why I left. It got to the point where I was so exhausted and drained by the end of a school day where I had poured every ounce of energy, every ounce of empathy that I had out onto all these kids that by the time I got home, there was nothing left for my own family. And my kids, my own kids, they were suffering because of it. They didn't have a present mom. I was like a walking zombie for the 10 months of the year that I was working in public school. And they only really got a good version of their mom in the 2 months of summer. And I quickly realized that I want my kids to experience a good mom every day.
I want you to send this video to anybody who can't understand why teachers are crashing out and quitting. I mean, they get their summers off, so like, what do they really have to complain about? I have brought visual aids. Here we go. So everything I show you on this green clipboard is going to represent when I started teaching in 2005, and everything on this red clipboard is 2025. I did not teach the full 20 years. I took 7 years off because I had children and my husband's in the military. We moved a lot. Here we go. These are actual seating charts that I found as I was cleaning up my desk today. So this represents the year 2005, and this is how many of my students are reading on grade level. Everything in blue. So I think 1.5 students out of like a group are struggling readers, but pretty much everybody's reading at least on level, some even higher, okay? 2025. How many of my students are reading on grade level? Okay, this next is an average of how many of my students failed my class. Like they are going to have to repeat this. There's no recovering. They failed. This is 2005. 0.5 student out of all of my students. This is this year. This is this year. On average, I teach about 100 students. On average, this is how many students in each class are not passing. They're going to have to take this class again. Okay, next, the orange represents in 2005, parent involvement. I always had parents either in my inbox asking about lessons, volunteering for field trips, or anything that we needed for our classroom, volunteering supplies. 2005, 2025. Where are the parents that are supposed to be involved in their school? Behavior issues. Students in 2005 that I had to like write up on referrals, call home, maybe have parent-teacher conferences for poor behavior. Out of a whole classroom, there was always like at least one bad apple, okay? 2025. Put your cell phone away. Why are you showing up to my class 15 minutes late? Don't talk to me like that. Don't call them the N-word. You know, if there's anything that being a teacher has taught me, it's analyzing data and trends. And I just don't like the current trends. So that is why you are seeing teachers leaving like in a mass exodus, just in droves, exiting the classroom this year. And everybody wants to blame COVID. That's a small part of it. Most of it has to do with parenting, screen time. You put a cell phone in the hands of a small child and just give them unfettered access to the internet. Do you think they care about what's going on in my class?
Do you honestly believe that these teachers are quitting their job 2 weeks into the school year because they're not getting paid enough, or because the politics that they're dealing with from outside of the classroom is too much to handle? No, that's not the reason. The reason why they're quitting is because these kids are mean, and they're making the classroom a war zone, and they're getting zero support from parents at home and from admin on their campus. This 100% stems from the stuff that they have to deal with day in and day out from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. inside their classroom. It's the stuff that you have to deal with inside your classroom that makes you burn out and makes you never want to come back. I understand that so many of our kids are dealing with rough lives at home and are dealing with trauma, dealing with mental illness, dealing with learning disabilities. All of those things make it difficult to thrive in school, and I understand that. But the problem is that all of those things are no reason to treat other human beings like a piece of garbage. Regardless of your opinion of teachers, most teachers that I know wake up every single day excited to teach whatever lesson that they've spent hours planning and creating, and they want to have a meaningful experience with the students in their classroom. They want to have a good day. And I know, speaking for myself, I woke up every day praying that it was going to be a good day, praying that the kids that I had that day were going to be as excited about the content that I was ready to present as much as I was. And most days, that is not what I got met with. On the daily, teachers are getting cussed out, spit on, hit, flipped off. Their equipment is getting broken and stolen. There are bullies in class that are relentless, not just to their own fellow students, but to the adult in the room. Imagine if you had to deal with that at your job. I'm speaking to non-teachers right now, right? You would not put up with that. You would stay somewhere where you were treated with respect and you knew that you were safe in your work environment. If someone came every single day to your job, bullied you, hit you, cussed you out, rolled their eyes at you, treated you like you were nothing, like you were garbage, you wouldn't want to come back either. You would put in your 2 weeks notice. But for some reason, so many people believe that we signed up for that, because that's a part of teaching, and that's just how kids are. I made the decision not to return to the classroom this year, and I haven't been in a classroom for months now, and I still have nightmares, trauma nightmares on a weekly basis about my former classroom and my former students. And yes, it is a parent and an admin problem just as much as it is a kid problem, because the difference between now and 20 years ago even is that 20 years ago, when you would have a kid cuss you out, hit you, smack other kids, ruin your property, steal things off of your desk, there was going to be somebody on campus that was going to back you up and find a solution. But now that's not the case. Suspensions are down because they want those numbers down. They want to look good. They're not suspending kids for getting in fights and being violent in the classroom anymore. It's just not happening. Even in the early 2000s and 2010s, when I started my career, I was assured that if I called a parent to tell them about what was going on in my classroom with their child, they were most definitely going to say, "I am so sorry, do what you need to do. I'll talk to them when they get home." Right? That doesn't happen anymore either. It is a parent problem because we're getting met with the same attitudes that we see in the classroom that we're seeing at home from parents. A doctor or a nurse, somebody comes up to your nurse's station and starts yelling and screaming, throwing things, cussing you out, calling you names. What do? You get to call security and call a code violet. As teachers, we can't do that anymore. We try, but then the kid gets sent out of the class, they are given a snack, and then 5 minutes later, they're back in the classroom ready to terrorize somebody else. There's always going to be only one adult in the room and 30 kids. And as soon as we put our attention on the one kid who's causing the disturbance and the violence in the class, then everyone is going to turn to us and say, well, why aren't you looking after the other kids? Why aren't you doing your job and teaching these kids? What happens when somebody else starts doing something they're not supposed to do? It's a lose-lose situation. So who wants to deal with that at work? Of course, these young teachers who are just now stepping into the profession are done with it after 2 or 3 weeks. They realize that they don't have to deal with that behavior. They don't have to deal with that disrespect. And there's another way that they can make their money. Let me just speak about Houston ISD for a second, because that's where I came from and that's what I advocate for, because I still care very deeply about that school district. Teachers at Houston ISD are not quitting their jobs right now because of the crap they're having to deal with from their superintendent and the fact that libraries are being stripped away from campuses that desperately need them. Again, I would say that most of the teachers that are dealing with those issues are strongly urged from within to stay in those positions, to advocate for change in that situation. Those are not the reasons that they're quitting. It's the kids and the behavior that they are dealing with, because they are not scared of consequences anymore. In fact, if something happens in the classroom, a group of kids is more likely to pull out their phone and start recording it and laughing instead of helping the situation. I know the last thing most people want to hear is a teacher saying that kids are the problem, but what else are we supposed to do? How else are we supposed to tackle this situation? Behavior issues are at an all-time high right now, and nobody wants to admit it, because then that's saying that, oh, those poor little darlings, you know, they're suffering out there in a world that's chaos. What are they supposed to do? You know, you're supposed to love them through it. We are asked to deal with so much abuse on a daily basis, and because they are children, somehow it's okay. And for those of you that don't have to deal with the behaviors that I'm talking about, you are lucky, because that means that you have admin on your campus that not only support you, but also have systems in place to tackle this sort of stuff.
So to my teachers and anybody that works in the business of serving others, teachers, therapists, counselors, anybody in that capacity, nurses, RNs, CNAs, let me know some of the things you guys have faced or found to be challenges in the environment of today. I want to hear all about it, but more importantly, I want to encourage you, man, to take back your freedom. Take back your ability to do for self. I often say, and I can't stress it enough, if you give them the power to feed you, you give them the power to starve you. So I try to show up every day and teach you guys a skill that not only, number one, can change your life, but number two, it can provide supplemental income to the current job or to the main source of income that you have. Number three, it has the ability to surpass whatever amount of money you're making on your current job. If you learn this, if you learn how to trade, if you learn how to read a chart, if you learn about discipline, if you learn about support, if you learn about resistance and all the nuances that come with this beautiful game. So with that being said, guys, listen, man, I hope that you are finding peace in all that you do, but understand there's something about the stock market, which is the greatest vehicle for wealth creation, that if you put the time in, or join me on this year's 100K challenge, there's some greater things in store for you. Listen, man, I'm gonna get up out of here. I'm gonna make videos like this every day. So if you like this one, make sure you check out the next one. Remember, most people see the end result, but if you consider the journey, do me a favor. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Make sure you guys grab some free stuff using my link below, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.